Welcome back to your daily check-in. If you are a subscriber, thank you for returning. If you're new here, happy to have you. This is a timeless reading, so whenever you are checking it out, you can check in on what you need mentally, emotionally, physically on your journey of health. Now, today we'll be focusing on neurodiversity. It has come up a lot in my reading, so I decided to wear a special shirt. Highway to Hell. Look, a squirrel. Hello. Distraction. And that's just one of the things that comes along with being neurodivergent or neurospicy, or I have a new alter ego. If you've been looking at the pictures I've been creating, Captain Nero, and she'll be around because I would like to focus first on a general neurodiversity reading, and then I would like to continue on. So Captain Nero will appear again when we do another pick-a-pile reading, but right now I want to see what we're getting into. It is also, it's the 15th of March, so the Ides of March, and because it's a timeless reading, obviously you found it, therefore it is for you. But as I say with anything that is challenging or ominous, or you think is going to trip you up in some way, I say flip that bugger on its head. And the Ides of March and the unluckiness and the shadows are, as I say, just an opportunity to get a better look at the shadows. I mean, poor Julius Caesar met his end. However, apparently that meant it was a turning point in Roman politics. So this could be a turning point too for you if you allow yourself to, not be bothered and look at the shadows. I wanted to start with a piece I wrote that is gearing up for a new book that I'm thinking about. And I was, just so you know, diagnosed in grade 1 with a learning disability, but as a psychologist who identified me said, I was misdiagnosed because I wasn't hyper. And the ADHD put an emphasis on the H, or the hyperactivity. And apparently that's what happened to a lot of little girls. So I was working through life with these executive functioning issues, and I wasn't diagnosed until, oh gosh, I guess it's been 2 or 3 years now. So late diagnosed ADHD, very common in women. And I've been working through the shadows, particularly the last year. I have really been putting a lot of emphasis on saying, I'm not going to fight this anymore. I'm not going to bemoan what I thought I had, and I apparently don't. I am going to celebrate my weird. I am going to celebrate the things that I do have and reduce the shame around the things that I thought were my failures, when they're just me trying to live as, a square peg in a round hole. And that's it. So I am allowed to be weird. In fact, it seems like some sort of responsibility now that I know that my ADHD was just a succession of embarrassing moments where it tried to break through. My friends love me because of my weird. They see the superhero that is the ADHD, that I let fly because I was celebrated, successful, impressive. To them, my weird is funny. It catches them off guard. It actually accentuates the things that are already great about me. However, not everyone sees it that way. And that's where we start. Because really, that's the conflict in the world. They say that no one is truly neurotypical. However, it's being neurodivergent isn't just being not typical. It comes with some significant challenges. And I was told that I had significant executive functioning issues. But you know what? That didn't actually tell me anything, because I am just me. And I should have asked more questions. I should have said, what does that actually mean? You're going to have to put that in context for me, because I am still trying to figure out what neurodivergent means. What is it about me that is neurodivergent, and what makes my particular executive functioning skills so awful? So diagnosed really helped, but God, it was hard. Because I felt like suddenly my brain wasn't my brain anymore. It was this weird thing, and I had to figure out why it was doing what it was doing, even though it had been doing it for 40 plus years. It does a number on your identity. So that's why I'm starting to write about it and reach out to other people who experience the same kind of things. The anxiety, the overstimulus, the time blindness, the organizational habits that really have to be developed. And it's an umbrella term. Just like fibromyalgia, the chronic illness that I have, that comes under an umbrella of a million other things that somebody has fibro could have or not have, like chronic fatigue, like IBS, like anxiety, depression, all those kind of things. And a lot of the time, it seems that neurodivergence intersects with neuroqueer or queer people that are also neurodivergent, and people that are physically, has a physical or intellectual disability. And the world can just be too much sometimes. The overwhelm happens, and we live somewhere. I wrote down some things that I was reading, and we live in a world that is like chaos versus brilliance. We have both of those things, and that's okay, because that's exactly where you are. It's good to know your strengths, and it's good to know the things that you need to look at almost when you back up and get a perspective for. It's like, okay, this thing that I have to work on, it's not bad. It's just the way my brain works. I just need to haul my square ass out of the round hole and find something that works. Because what else are you going to do? Right? And so now it's just my job to figure out what works for me, because when I do, case in point, that legend planner that I will put a link to as well. I don't have a pen. Hang on, got it. Pen and paper to write down the things that I have to link. So I'm going to link the legend planner. I've got to have to-do lists everywhere, and I have to write them. It's something about the tactile nature for me is this stimulus. It's like, this is important. So I would like to thank the divine for being here. Thank our angels, our guardians, our ancestors, all of the ascended masters and all of the beings that are here with us today to help us get a clear reading about our self, about our neurodiversity. I would like to also call on Ganesh, or the elephant, who is the remover of obstacles. And in the last reading that I did, spoke about mantra meditation, and I couldn't find an example of the meditation that I suggested for this period of the full moon, but I know that there will be a link to a Ganesh mantra meditation. And you can use meditation beads and say it, sing it, 108 times. Because anything that helps us, either as a chronically ill person, a neurodiverse person, a queer person, anybody who's dealing with those types of life stressors, it's always meditate, go into yourself. And if you need to do it while you're walking, if you need to do it while you're writing, while you're painting, just face yourself and say, this is who I am. Good to know. Get information and go from there. So, yeah, I just wrote down, this is for the beautifully neurodivergent souls that feel everything deeply, that experience flashes of brilliance. And we are a living contradiction, trying to make sense of the world from our frame of reference. We are a living contradiction. We are too much and not enough. And that really kind of struck me when I heard it. And the person that coined that is this amazing ADHD coach named Kristen Carter, and she has a podcast, I.have.adhd.podcast, and she's a multi-certified coach. I will again put her links down. See, you've got to take the time and be prepared to not forget anything, because I know that this is the way my brain works. And if I resist it, if I ignore those shadows, I'm not doing myself a favor, and it does take a lot of work, and you do have to be in the right mindset to say, I'm not going to fight this today. And some days you are going to fight it, and you're going to be mad and frustrated, and you're going to give up and watch Bridgerton. I don't know. You're going to go back and forth, because emotional regulation is another one of those tough things to do as a neurodivergent person. So back to the Ides of March and the death of Julius Caesar. So we are going to look at the shadows in our future, the shadows in our past. We're going to take a look at them and say, where are some starting places? And I am talking about, in terms of neurodivergence, just to give you a kind of framework that includes autism and a lot of different types of neurodivergency, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, emphasis on the H, but before it was just called ADD, which is basically the same thing. They just changed up the definition a bit. but it also can include bipolar, OCD, dyslexia, schizophrenia, sensory processing disorders. And as I said, it's an umbrella term. So you could be neurodivergent, you could be autistic and have ADHD at the same time. You could have ADHD and dyslexia at the same time, or OCD, and you know, we are different colors in the same rainbow, you know, and there's so many things that we could experience as a neurodivergent person that make life challenging, like stimuli. It feels like we're constantly have stimulus coming at us, and it's just it's too much, you know. Like a lot of the times, even though I have hearing aids and I have hearing issues, I also have very sensitive ears, and oftentimes I find myself going, I just want quiet. You know, I got ear canceling, noise canceling headphones, and it's like, why is that such a relief? Like, I remember walking down the street with someone who was autistic, and an ambulance went by, and we both went like this. And I looked at him, I was like, whoa. And he's like, yep, all the neurodivergent people just covered their ears. Too much. We experience the world as too much. How do I reduce the amount that the world is coming at me right now? So anxiety is part of this. Rejection sensitivity dysphoria. Oh, you know, you don't know what is real rejection and a rejection story. But it honestly doesn't matter, because your body reacts in the same way, and you just have to soothe yourself and do self-care methods to try and emotionally regulate until you can deal with it. And that was what I went. I did a whole webinar with Kristen or Kirsten. It was amazing. I highly recommend it. So I will definitely put a link to the podcast where she talks about rejection sensitivity dysphoria, because that was my worst symptom, and it like snuck up on me and clobbered me, you know. And I was like, what? I have what? Well, I guess that makes sense. If I can feel rejection, even if somebody looks at me sideways and changes their tone. Yeah, it's fun. So yeah, we have executive functioning issues, time management, organization, memory issues. But I was reading up on some things, and there was a quote from Damian Milton, and he said, I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, autistic people struggle to understand and empathize with non-autistic people. However, non-autistic people also lack understanding and empathy for autistic people. So why is that any different? We are trying to understand people, but because the neurotypical are neurotypical, it's like privilege in a way. Well, I'm neurotypical. Well, no, you're just trying to understand somebody whose brain works differently than yours. It's no different from someone it's no different than me looking at someone and trying to understand them. You know, and just because I'm the non-average or mainstream or whatever you want to call me doesn't mean that I'm the problem. I am not the problem. In some cases, I might be the solution. You know, because I'm going to look at my shadows and I'm going to inform myself of my shadows. And that's what I want to do for my neurodivergent sensitive soul collection, is say, let's work on this together. Let's look at things that are going to make it easier for us to function in the mainstream society that all around us that seems to be dominant just because it's more visible, just because it's more socially acceptable. And I know I just went 20 minutes of talking about this, but I think it's really important. So when I do that, I will put a marker and go, this is where the actual reading starts if you just want to skip this. I still haven't figured out how to use timestamps. If anyone knows, put it in the comments, for God's sake. Thank you. And right now I'm using the Enchanted Map Oracle cards. Because these are just very lock and key, surrender, creatively brilliant. They just fit. They just fit. So I am going to ask, I had some questions that I wrote down. So the first one is, what is my mind trying to tell me? Divine, please, for my neurodivergent collective, what are our minds trying to tell us? A couple of cards, please, to start us off. Me and my neurodivergent hands. I'm going to try and handle these massive cards. Oh, that's a lot. 1, 2, 3. Ouch. 4. I'll take the top 4. Okay, and they're all upside down. First one is flying. I read something about us just trying to fly, and I don't even remember it. But yeah, neurodivergence is just a different type of rainbow. And we are all different colors in a neurodivergent rainbow. And yes, we may have to go through the maze where others might have a straight path. However, maybe we can just fly over the dang thing if we understand it enough. That feels right. Next one, education. So we need to learn more. And this is where I am. Need to learn more about neurodivergence. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, this woman is opening a book. She's got this beautiful fairy. And I believe that is the waning crescent. And that's the stage that we're in right now. So this is a right now. It's just about learning. So we have a fairy and we have a heron. So you could interpret that as separate the fact from fiction. Or look at it in terms of, from your perspective, what does this mean? Oh, interesting. I might read that one, but I want to, compass. I haven't gotten this card yet. Oh, and we've got a little frog down there, and that's the totem of releasing, cleansing. It's a bioindicator species that is very sensitive to its environment. So we're all little frogs. And then we have, follow the leader. We've got a goose and a couple little ducklings and a fairy. So you can still have fiction, thank goodness. Because we, in terms of, and I only spoke about our challenges. Our gifts are out of the freaking world. when we hyper-focus on something, when we use all of our imagination and all of our creativity and all of our passion for something, that is when we create something astounding. And that is when we can change the world. That is when we can solve things that no one else can solve. So it's like, you know what you are, educate yourself, figure out the direction in which you need to go, and lead. So it's calling us to be leaders. I'm going to get out the book, and I'm going to read Education. Just because I want to give you as much information as possible. Education. Life is filled with lessons. Be teachable. Okay, yes. However, very, very important and actually freaking essential to find the right teacher, because the right teacher has to understand your limitations and work with them. They have to be knowledgeable. So don't, it's like finding the right practitioner. You have to click with them. You have to trust them. And you have to find someone that is patient enough to say, this is just your brain. Don't worry about it. You're going to get it. Wisdom comes from participating in life, not just reading about it. This card suggests that you might not have enough knowledge about what you seek. The direction you take, your circumstances, or the nature of your inquiry. Oh, those are the things you might not have enough information about. Important information is coming. Now is the time to go to school. Ask a person who might know more than you do, or find a teacher or a course of study so that you can more clearly understand what the next action must be. And that's something that Kristen does. She has a global community of people that she sends her courses, her webinars out to. But she also has a lot of free education on YouTube. So again, I'll link to that. Ask a person who might know a course of study that you can more clearly understand what the right next action must be. Sometimes life unexpectedly sends you to an unfamiliar school, and you must learn by experience. Now is a time to be teachable, open to changing your preconceived notions. Be a student and be willing to state the most powerful mantra of, I don't know yet. My yoga instructor would just jump on me anytime I would make a negative comment and say, yes, you can't do this. Yet. And it's true. You can do anything. You just have to have the right mindset and the right patience to let it take as long as it needs to take. It's true. All right. I want to read this compass. As long as you orient your compass to true north, the direction of your higher power, you will never be lost. So your higher power sounds like your gifts. Yeah. You're entering uncharted territories right now, and you can expect wonderful new experiences. To stay on the highest path of your destiny, you'll need to keep your compass pointed to true north. Only spirit or a higher power can serve this function. Money, property, prestige, romance, and other material achievements can't help you find your true path. They are simply things you may experience along the journey. Know that spirit is working in your life. So, even if you feel lost temporarily, it will be easy to find your way. Have faith and trust, for your compass, with spirit as true north, will ensure that you'll never be lost, even on a starless night when all seems dark. I heard a quote about the moon. I think it was Yasmin Boland. Yeah, it must have been. And it was talking about faith and the moon. And even though there is a time when the moon disappears from our sight, from the angle of where we live, or it's cloudy, or all those kind of things, yet we know the moon is still there. We know. And it's the same with our higher self. It's the same with divine. You know divine is there, even if you are new to reaching out or feeling its presence in your life. And you're not going to help. You're not going to get help unless you ask for help, because this is your life. So you need to be open to, you need to be teachable. You need to be open to, looking at the things, the deities in your life, anything that's sacred, and saying, yes, teacher, teach me. I am teachable. Yeah. And then you just lead. Okay, this is splendid. I can't believe I just said splendid. Watching too many period films. So now I'm getting out the shadow deck here, and don't worry, this is also the good stuff, because you can learn a lot from saying, I'm not going to look at the shadow as a negative thing. I refuse. So what is the Ides of March? It's the opportunity now to remind us to look at the shadows. And that is always valuable. So one more shuffle. And yes. So we ask what the mind was trying to tell us. Now, divine, I'm going to ask, where does my collective put their attention? Oh. 1, 2. Collective, where do we put our attention? Oh, and we got 2 more. Excellent. That was easy. First one is light in the darkness. How lovely. Darkness cannot dispel darkness. Only light can. Love, clarity, awareness. So yeah, it's shining a light. Shining a light on everything, so that the shadows can appear, so we can see them. So you have to shine a light on these things. Otherwise, they're just going to stay in the dark, and you are going to continue to be lost because there's no clarity. So be brave. Dig out a flashlight. Shine it where it needs to show you what needs to happen. Oh, mental contest. And that's the Archer. So you could be Sagittarius. Strength isn't from winning. Struggles define strengths. Control, power, repressed. Okay. So, so the issues that come into your life, the challenges that come into your life, again, if we're not going to look at those as negative things, how can we look at them as positive things or opportunities? Well, yes, we might win this or that or the other thing, but we don't grow because we're not pushing a boundary. So in order to have control, we have to have power over the things that have been repressed or hidden or not looked at or not understood. So flip the script and say, this is just about diligence. And you may not always be the most diligent every day, but eventually, when you have some success, that will motivate you to continue to say, okay, how am I going to tackle this? It's tackleable. Tackleable. What do I do? All right, what does it say? Oh, shadow alchemy. Look at those butterflies. Big sweeping change. Turn shadows into gold by shifting your awareness. So we need to change the way that we are thinking about having to go off and find a round hole or square hole instead of a round hole. Empowerment, rebirth. So really, it's like you kind of have to, recommit to the work, to the education, to the diligence, in order to face the part of you that you don't know, as well as the part of you that are the things that you're already aware of, your strengths. And we come back to the saying by the priestess that I worked with, I love my dark like I love my light. And you can't love yourself as a whole person unless you can love your dark like you love your light. What else? Divine juggling. This one reminds me of the magician. So some magic on this path. Master different aspects of yourself, both light and dark. Amazing. Progress. Inner harmony. So that is what you're going for. You have to balance. You know, it's like someone juggling today. You know, I'm going to keep the balls labeled skill in the air just as much as the balls labeled shadow. And I'm going to do it, and I'm going to keep going. And along the way, as you are bringing balance to your strengths and your weaknesses, they will start to even out, and you will start to master things that you never thought you may master, and you will be proud of the things that you've accomplished in terms of your skills. So we want to be proud of the work that we do that is about our strengths. And we also, even if we don't see the progress, we want to be proud of the work that we do to deal with the shadows that come with this difference. To use our legend planners, and I have a big whiteboard calendar, because the key is the key is surrender. But for me, if I can't see it, I'm going to forget about it. So I have a whiteboard that I put all of my appointments on, everything that's happening that month that's important, and I cross-check it with my daytime, or with my legend planner. I have to have both. And unfortunately, multiple calendars can create an issue. But in life, you have to learn, and you're still going to forget things. You are. And that's okay, because this is the challenge that you are working with. And you have to be in the right mindset to be brave enough and to feel supported enough to take that on. Because if you're not feeling brave, if you're feeling small and little and diminished, dismissed, it's hard. It's really hard, because motivation is another problem. It's really hard to tackle the shadows when you are in that space where nothing seems positive. So, and that's when you need some help. You know, you need to be teachable, as it says. So I am going to ask you, what am I overthinking? What am I overthinking? I'm just going to see what happens. What am I overthinking? Maybe I'll get one for each question, just to cover a wide... Oh, come on then. What is the collective overthinking? So worry. We've got some worry coming up. So talk about, this is what being overstimulated feels like. And that means self-soothing. Gotta self-soothe. I'm learning that worry doesn't change the outcome. No. So that means we emotionally regulate and come back to the problem. Okay. What is the truth about this situation? I'm going to ask that. And I might confirm after this, but I feel like it's important to get through the things that I was writing down. Yes. What is the truth of this situation? Abundance. I am a limitless being. I can manifest whatever I desire in the physical reality. Okay. So the truth is you don't know how much power you have. Okay, just to recap. So the first question that I had was, what is my mind trying to tell me? I think you worry too much. This is what somebody's ADHD brain looks like. So I'm learning that worry doesn't change the outcome. I mean, worry is still there. The anxiety is still there. Self-soothe, get your system calmed down, and then go back at the problem. Because you can only do so when you are regulated again. And that's a challenge. So yeah, just take a break. Then the second question I had was, what am I overthinking? Abundance. That's a beautiful card. It reminds me of the glass blown designs that I saw when I went to Venice that I loved so much. Okay, abundance. I am a limitless being, and I can manifest whatever I desire in this physical reality. And it's true. You don't know how powerful that you are when you take all of your skills and you take all of your challenges and you face them equally. You are a whole being at that point. And that's something that you can manifest. The new moon is coming up, a new cycle of manifestation. So if you would like to join us, please do. And then I ask, what's the truth about this situation? So purpose. What am I here to do? So the truth is, it's okay to not know where you're going. It's okay because you're just starting to figure this out. This, especially if this is new information that you have to incorporate into your identity and your thought process, your life. So take your time. And I think, sorry, I misread the card. I know what I'm here to do. So yeah, I have to rewind that. You know what you're here to do. But I think it's just the doubts and the fears that are getting in the way. Yeah. So don't worry about the challenges. Just try and balance them and focus on your purpose. Focus on what you feel intuitively is what you're here to do. And these are some very direct lines, all leading to the center. Everybody has different purpose. It has a unique purpose to fulfill. So you have to find yours. And the next question I wanted to ask was, where do I put my attention? Where do I put my attention? Well, 2 came out, yeah. All right, we're going to have to continue. Oh, guilt. I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. So, yeah, this looks like a rabbit hole. You know, the things that you thought you should be guilty for, the things that you thought you should be able to achieve, but you couldn't. It's re-putting it into perspective and saying, I don't have to feel guilty for not being able to do things that I didn't know I couldn't do. Because it's hard to get an outside view of yourself. You know, you do need somebody else to kind of identify you. Now, the next question I was going to ask was, why does this make me feel bad? So if it's rejection, if it's something about yourself that makes you feel bad, what is it? Oh, death. I am learning that endings are merely beginnings. So it's feeling bad for something that's changing in your life. And that could be your diagnosis. Yeah, that definitely carries a lot of heaviness. And just like you're mourning a loss of someone else, you can mourn the loss of anything you lose and have to readjust your identity, your idea of yourself. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Let's see. What distractions are pulling me away? What distractions are pulling me away? Oh, we've got ones for the rest. A friendship. I understand that a friend is in my life for a reason. Interesting. So, friendships come in all sizes and shapes and colors and forms, but we're talking about true friendship. We are talking about the people that bring peace to your life, that understand you, that love your weird, that love you exactly as you are. And if there are people in your life that are your quote-unquote friends and don't make you feel like that, you may want to think about how much energy you're putting into these friendships and if there are things that aren't worth it anymore. Because you don't want somebody in your life who makes you feel small, because that is going to make tackling this much, much more difficult. Let's see. Overwhelm prompts. Okay. What can I release today? What can I release today? Blame. Interesting. I accept responsibility for my well-being. That feels yucky. But part of saying these are just things that I'm working on means you have to take responsibility for working on them. You can't, it's not okay for anyone to make you feel badly for the work that you're doing on this challenge or the fact that you have the challenge at all. But you in yourself have to decide that you can't blame anyone else for what your brain is. And the last one, let's see. Superpower prompts. Ooh. What is my hidden strength? Loneliness. I know that I'm never alone. So, That's a contentedness with yourself. So you thrive when you get to recharge, when you spend time on your own. So you know what you need to tackle these things. You're going the right direction. Oh, this is so great. Because I could just dive into each one of those, but this has been a lot of information. So I'm just going to, to finish it there, and I will be back to do more readings on neurodivergence, the neurodivergent folks that are in my collective. And coming up is going to be the live on St. Patrick's Day, March the 17th at noon. I hope you join me, and if there are any questions that you would like me to address, please put them in the comments of this video or go over to Facebook, Energy Healing Oracle 555, where you can sign up to be on the live, and you can put comments in there about what kind of questions you have about financial security, about abundance, about career, if any of those kind of things, and where your luck is, the treasures that are waiting for you on the path. Like, those are the kind of things that I will focus on. So until then, be well, and I will see you later. Bye.